Welcome back to NewsMakers. We are with Ross Gumbley, Chris Hutching and Alec Neill. Well, Child, Youth and Family is under fire for taking a large group of foster children. Some of these kids were as young as 6, and they went to Wellington's Downstage Theatre to watch the opening night of An Adagio Christmas. The play contained explicit language and sexual themes. Is this dodgy, Mr. Gumbley?
Well, at last. I feel like I'm on solid ground here. Look, something that worries me about this is Downstage has been struggling this year. It's lost its recurrently funded organisation status with Creative New Zealand. It has had its funding pulled and now is essentially a venue funded on project-by-project basis. And so what I can't understand is why they're taking a stand here to put on a children's show, which is obviously so controversial. I mean, I think it's really important that whatever the content of the show is, that you explain that clearly to parents so that they're making a decision about what they're taking their children to see. However, if you're taking them to a children's show at the theatre, you don't expect to be bombarded by the F word, which at Downstage is funding, a mimed orgasm and a character talking about their loss of virginity. Now, look, I sound dreadfully old-fashioned here, but I would never do that in one of our children's plays. I would never push it that far. You know, we've got a studio theatre, and that's where we take risks with our audience and where we push the boat out. However, providing that information was communicated to parents, then I think, you know, SIFs are really in trouble here for taking them to this. This sounds really like some clock filling. It's easy to take them there, to shunt them out and put them in front of the show. Yeah. And I think it isn't appropriate. Ray
Smith from SIF says he hopes the children will look back and remember how much they enjoyed the outing. Isn't that nice, Alec?
I am very disappointed that the theatre has chosen that particular topic at Christmas time for kids. It's totally inappropriate. On the other hand, at 6:30, is it 7 o'clock at night, we have Shortland Street, and for kids that are 7 and 8, they will learn as much about sex as I did when I was 16 from just watching Shortland Street. So that's the sort of naive family that I came from, where driving the tractor and feeding out was far more important than actually all this stuff that we now see on the telly and in the theatres.
Indeed.
It's time that we put a stop to it.
Yes, Mr. Neill. Mr. Hutching, would you agree?
Seems like a bit of a cock-up to me, Mike. That's about all I can say.
Oh dear, it is that time of the year, have you noticed? Let us remain retro on 2009 and tell me, who has been or what has been the indelible news event or personality for you from the year, Mr. Gumbley?
Well, it seems, you know, I mean, I thought about this. This is one of the things I did think about this week. When I looked at the list of things we were talking about, went, yes, and the year in retrospective. It seems, you know, we've got this 24/7 news cycle. It's almost 12 months. It's almost impossible to... I had to think back what was in this year and what wasn't in this year. Because when we've got this 24/7 news cycle, it seems we're constantly in the news at the moment. And something like 12 months just seems so arbitrary a figure. I mean, when you look back, I mean, the huge news stories were obviously, you know, the demise, the death of Michael Jackson. Something that jumped out for me was the passing of the 12 months of the national government. And if Obama had books written about his first 100 days, well, then there's a terrific postage stamp that the national government's filled up in their first year. But then it was interesting, almost at that 12-month mark, we started to see the first cracks in the coalition, of those coalition partners starting to fall apart. And it'll be interesting, starting to fall apart. It'll be interesting to see if we can lead back to that. But it seems to me that the story which has dominated the year is the one, as I say, which dominates the 24/7 news cycle at the moment, and that's Tiger Woods.
Who's that?
Tiger Woods. Yeah, you must have heard of him. And what seems extraordinary about that story to me was how poorly he and his spin doctors have handled this story. He never got on top of it from the start. He never had a chance, or he missed...
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He never had a chance to actually try and partially control the story. He sat back and accumulated everything, and now it's impossible for him to come forward. It's a much more difficult job for him to try and control this story now.
There you go, Ross got his talk up. Now, I've got 30 seconds left in total for the show. Any names you want to mention from the year or the week?
I will give my accolade to Stevie Williams, who is my hero.
Fantastic.
Well, I'll give my accolade to our local Ellie Jones for being so gracious in defeat. I mean, maybe she's looking for another job, but I'd give the brick back, of course, to the people that axed her job.
The colonisers from up north.
Indeed.
It's time for a new station in this town.
ECAN on air. Oh dear.
ECAN FM.
Yes. To the pick of the week. Tiger Woods may indeed be the talk of the world, and this Taiwanese man was caught red-handed by his wife, having it off with the neighbour. He panicked and tried to flee his enraged wifey, jumping out the window, landing on the air conditioning vent, as you can see in this picture, exposing himself to the world and instant internet fame. Easy Tiger. Now, to the NewsMakers poll. Last week's question, should fathers be granted 4 weeks paid parental leave? 26% of you said yes, 74% said, what planet are you on? No. Prize winner C. O'Reilly. This week's question, what news story has been the defining issue of the year for you? This is not a yes or no, obviously, is it? Well, you can try, but that would be odd. Give us your issue. What do you think symbolises the year? Email newsmakers@ctv.co.nz. You can vote on the web, mikeyardley.com, or post to PO Box 1100 Christchurch. Do so, and you'll be in to win these very nice treats: Starbucks Christmas Blend Coffee and an MTA gift voucher. And we'll bring you the results next Friday. Thank you very much to our panel. Ross Gumbley, very good to see you, sir. Mr. Neill, we trust we'll see ECAN next year, courtesy of the national government.
We trust that too. Trust in us.
Absolutely. And Mr. Hutching, thank you very much.
Cheers, Mike.
And have a marvellous Christmas, won't you?
Merry Christmas to you, Mike.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week for our final show of the year. This was our penultimate. Did I tell you that? The penultimate. Have a great weekend. Good night.